Changing existing hardware on a cabinet is fairly simple, but if you've never had hardware on the cabinet before, you need a little bit of help because you want to make sure that everything is uniform. So I'm with Amber at Parr Lumber, and she's going to show us how to get that job done and make it look really good, right?
Right.
All right.
Well, we'll try. So there are several options you can do. You can individually measure each cabinet as you go along.
Okay.
But for someone who has, a lot of cabinets in their kitchen or are going to be consistent throughout the house, probably the best thing to do would be make a template or a jig.
For myself, I can't really measure very well. So.
All right. Well, we're going to walk through how to make like a make-at-home template for you. You can purchase these also. This is just taking a scrap piece of material you have around the house and making a quick way to keep those cabinet knobs and pulls consistent.
Okay.
So first thing we're going to do is take a block of wood, and what you want to do is create an L. So what you want is that 90-degree angle to mimic your cabinet. So these X's here, I'm going to drill out, and what we're going to do there is insert a dowel all the way through.
Okay.
And I'll show you, we'll have an end one that'll kind of explain what we're doing here. So what we'll have then basically to start is an L bracket that will fit like
nice and snug up against the cabinet.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when it comes to cabinet pulls, it's pretty much visual. It's what appeals to you. I mean, honestly, if that appeals to you, then it is what it is. But lots of people on the stile and rail doors, they'll go off of where the molding hits, stay with the line, something like that. What we want to do is take measurements of where these screw holes are here.
Okay.
So we'll want to measure how far down from the bottom of the cabinet or how far up for the first hole and then to the second hole.
And we're going to transfer that to our template.
And we will then, and now this is the critical part, make sure you're measuring from where that cabinet line is on your L.
Right.
So then we'll do the same, and we will measure and mark our first hole and then our second hole.
Okay.
And then on the same thing we need to remember also is the center of that. So what we want to do is take that center measurement, what's going to line us up in the middle, and transfer that also onto your board. And this way we'll take that measurement, from the cabinet line to the center.
Okay.
And then
for a visual aid, you have one that's already finished.
I do. I just happen to. So what we have here is the finished templates. So what you're looking at, and you can do this with your lower cabinets as well as your upper cabinets. And so as you see, we've got our L, and when we insert the dowels in here, you can kind of see, we want to push those guys in there so they hook on your cabinet door.
That's great. And you've got an L on that one because that one's left.
One's the left.
And for the right?
And for the right, push those dowels a little bit more to the right, and it will work on the reverse.
That's great. So one template does both
One
sides.
template will do both, and that is for the lowers as well.
That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, and then these were the measurements we had measuring from that line up, and then to the second hole, and then over from the side. And then what you can do is when you line that guy up in there, mark your holes, and then depending on what screw size you have, find the drill bit that coincides with that screw you need to work with.
Is it normally a little bit smaller?
A little bit larger works on cabinet screws too, but yeah, it's with the finish work, you don't want to get a hole too big that you're gonna, regret, but sometimes they're not the drilling screws that we're used to. So then we're going to drill that guy. Okay, so we've got those holes drilled now. We're going to stick our screws in from the back, and this is where using maybe a slightly larger bit comes in handy because you do need that room to kind of move around. And because it's a finish material you're dealing with, you typically don't want to roughhouse it a whole lot.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm going to just screw these guys in a bit, get them started. And then this is when one of these kind of screwdrivers comes in handy again, because cabinet knobs, you never quite know what screw you're dealing with. And then we're just going to tighten these guys up.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Well, Amber, you made it really easy, and I think you could still do it to yourself, but if you have questions or need more tips, stop by Parr Lumber. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.